Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, February 2nd. I almost said January, but no, we're into February. So there's a total of about around 450 albums coming out this week. I got 12 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlists I put together every week, and the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Well, like I said in the intro, there's about 450 albums coming out this week. I'm only going to talk about 12 on the show today, so if there's something I don't talk about, make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up. And like always, if you're unable to find any of these in your local brick and mortar stores, I'll put links down below in the comments section for these 12, plus some other ones I think some people might be interested in this week. You got the big expanded edition of Music Box by Mariah Carey coming out this week. This was released back in 1993. It was their third studio album. Like I said, it's a big 4 LP expanded edition that they released. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of the album last year. It's going to run you about $64 online. It was an absolutely gigantic album when this thing was released. It was absolutely everywhere. Go on to sell almost 30 million copies worldwide. Had a bunch of hit singles off of it. Just a great album, but it's a little bit different for Mariah. Her first two albums were definitely more like adult contemporary kind of music. Her with Music Box, there's definitely more pop on there. There was some more R&B on there. It's a great album. Got some great tracks on there. Like I said, this is an expanded edition. So you got the standard LP on disc 1. And then LPs 2 and 3 are a bunch of unreleased tracks, alternate mixes, unreleased live tracks. And then the 4th LP is a performance at Proctor's Theater in New York in 1993, which is largely unreleased. I think there was 2 tracks off that show that were previously released. So, if you're a Mariah Carey fan, and a fan of this album, might be a cool one to grab. $65. A little pricey for me. I know it's a 4 LP set, so I kind of expect it to be that price, but if I can grab it for a little cheaper than that, I might grab a copy of it this week. And then you also got a bunch of this half-speed master stuff from Abbey Road getting reissued this week. I know I'm kind of on the fence about the Abbey Road stuff. Sometimes I'll listen to them and I think they do sound better than a standard pressing of it. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes I think that actually the standard pressing sounds better than the half-speed master stuff. So I think, to be completely honest, I think a lot of the half-speed master stuff is kind of a marketing ploy. Even though, listen to the Bob Marley half-speed master stuff that came out a couple years ago. All those albums sound fantastic. But maybe it's just the Abbey Road stuff that I'm kind of on the fence about. But you get the Who Quadrophenia coming out this week. Released back in 1973. It was their 6th studio album. It's a 2 LP release. It's going to run you $50, which I think is a lot. Quadrophenia is an album that's been pressed to death over the years. You can probably find a copy for a lot less than that. But, I think it is probably my favorite album by The Who. Maybe Who's Next. I kind of go back and forth. I love Tommy, but I think Quadrophenia is actually a better rock opera from the band. But I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'll grab a copy of it this week. Maybe I'll try to wait and see what the reviews say on Discogs before I grab one. Another one of those Abbey Road half-speed masters coming out this week is Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run. Released back in 1973. It was their 3rd studio album. So 1 LP release is going to be a little bit cheaper than Quadrophenia. It's going to run you about $33 online. So the thing I noticed about the description on Band on the Run compared to Quadrophenia, maybe I just missed it on Quadrophenia, is for Band on the Run, it says that the audio was all mastered from high-res transfers from the original analog tapes. So I guess be warned that there's definitely a digital step in there, which, to be completely honest, in 2024, I expect pretty much every reissue or remaster to have some kind of digital step in there. Just kind of the world we live in right now. I will say that, just as long as it sounds good, that's really all that matters to me. But this being released to celebrate the 50th anniversary last year is a big album. We're going to sell over 3 million copies here in the U.S. I'm not the biggest Wings fan, but, if I'm going to own a Wings album, it's probably going to be Band on the Run. It's got a couple of my favorite tracks on there. But so when this was released, there was 2 different versions. There was a UK version and then a US version. The UK version did not include Hell on Wheels on there. This version does have Hell on Wheels, so it is the US version that's coming out this week. And then the next one is Sixpence None the Richer's self-titled album from 1997. This was their 3rd studio album, 2 LP release. It's going to run you $33 online. What were the 2 big tracks? You had Kiss Me on there, and then There She Goes, I think, were the 2 big singles on there. It would go on to sell pretty well. I think it hit number 89 on the Billboard charts here in the U.S. And it's one of those good albums to kind of go back and revisit if it's been quite a few years since you've listened to it. couple really interesting jazz releases coming out this week. The first one is Blue Mitchell, Down With It. This was released in 1966, part of the Blue Note Tone Poet series, which the Tone Poet series compared to the classic series tends to be a little more expensive. This one's going to run you about $39 online. I will say that it does come with a nicer deluxe gatefold jacket. It's really thick, really nice presentation that the album comes in. And I've never been disappointed by any of these Tone Poet series releases, but I'm not all that familiar with this album, even though it does, like a lot of these other Tone Poet releases, has a bunch of great musicians on there that joined Blue Mitchell. You got Junior Cook, Chick Corea, Gene Taylor, and Al Foster on here. It's all mastered by Kevin Gray. It's pressed at RTI. These, like I said, these things. If you're gonna get into jazz music, the classic series and Tone Poet series are definitely two great ways to do that. And then the next one is a pretty interesting album. It's definitely different than a lot of the other jazz you'll hear out there. But this is Yusef Lateef, Eastern Sounds. This was released back in 1962. This is part of the Craft Recordings. This is a Craft Recordings original jazz classics. I don't know why it's always so hard for me to say. So also going to run you about $39 online. Also mastered by Kevin Gray. Also pressed to RTI. But like I said, this is definitely a different kind of jazz. Yusef Lateef was going through this series. And, there was definitely a couple of albums prior to this that he did this on, but it definitely was heavily more influenced by some, Middle Eastern music. Like I said, really interesting one to kind of go back through, at least stream and check out if you're unfamiliar with it. So like I said earlier, you got some half-speed master stuff from Abbey Road coming out this week. You also have a bunch of greatest hits compilations coming out from Friday Music. The first one is Alice Cooper Classics, released in 1995. This is going to run you about $39 online. This was released to celebrate the end of his record deal with Epic. So the three albums he did with Epic were Trash, Hey Stupid, and Last Temptation, which are all three great albums. I think it's, I'd rather own the albums over this compilation though. But so this compilation, the first half of it is all tracks from those three albums. And then the second side of it is all tracks from the Trash is the World concert video, which that period in Alice's career, even though the music is really good, when it comes to his live performances, the actual visual performance really adds to those songs. So it's, if I'm going to listen to those tracks, I'd rather watch it than listen to it. But, I'm sure there's probably some people out there that really enjoy this release. I will say this was never pressed in the U.S. It was never a U.S. release of this album on vinyl until 2019. This is a reissue of that 2019 release. So it comes on black and blue swirl vinyl. It comes in a trifold jacket. It comes with a poster. So there's definitely some good stuff there for that release. And then you've also got Foreigner Records coming out. This was released back in 1982. So this is the greatest hits compilation spanning the first four albums of the band, which I think is the best period from Foreigner, even though it does miss my favorite album from the band, which is Age of Provocateur, which came out I think it was the year after this album came out. But, so it does kind of miss some of my favorite tracks on there. But if you're getting into Foreigner, or you want to just or if you're a casual fan, I think Records is a great way to grab this one. But, it sold really well. Sold over 7 million copies here in the U.S. But, I guess if you're gonna go down that road, me personally, this album, and I guess this album 4 and Agent Provocateur are kind of a great way to kind of encapsulate all the best music from Foreigner, at least from that early period of the band. The next release from Friday Music you got coming out this week is The Cars' Greatest Hits, released back in 1985. It's going to run you about $38 online. This is a compilation of the first 5 albums from the band. Another big greatest hits release. It would go on to sell over 6 million copies in the U.S. It would hit number 12 on the Billboard charts. I'm not the biggest Cars fan, so I think, for at least for me, having a compilation like this is kind of a great way to have a lot of my favorite songs from the band. So it's definitely one I'm going to grab this week. I will say this one says it's limited edition, quote unquote limited edition, but it doesn't say what it's limited to. So I think a lot of times a lot of that's kind of like the Abbey Road half-speed master stuff, where it's partially kind of a gimmick, I think, a lot of the times, a sales ploy, but, especially if it doesn't say what it's really limited to, I guess it's just like I said, just marketing. But you got that one coming out, and then another one from Friday Music is Gordon Lightfoot, Sundown, released in 1974. It was his 9th studio album, celebrating his 50th anniversary this year. That's going to be on turquoise vinyl. It's going to run you about $38 online. This was Gordon's first number 1 album here in the U.S. It doesn't have a lot of his best-known tracks on here. I think it's his most complete album. As far as, Gordon Lightfoot goes, this is the one album I really love. from beginning to end, I don't think it's got a bad track on there. Just one that, like I said, even though it doesn't have like Record of Edmund Fitzgerald or anything on there, just a really great album from beginning to end. The next one's a pretty interesting album because I didn't realize until just recently that a lot of the music on this was re-recorded. But this is All Time Low, Put Up or Shut Up. This was released in 2006. It's going to run you about $24 online. So I will say that if you're unfamiliar with All Time Low, if you're a fan of New Found Glory, you'll probably like All Time Low. Very similar kind of styles. I actually prefer All Time Low a little bit more, but it all comes down to opinion. But so this was the first EP that they released with Hopeless Records. I didn't realize until just recently. I know that they were with Emerald Moon before that. I didn't realize that they had released an album through Emerald Moon. So I didn't know that 5 of the 7 tracks on this EP were originally on that first album and were just re-recorded on this. So I listened to the EP for years and years before I ever listened to the debut album. So I prefer these re-recorded tracks, so it's definitely interesting to kind of go back through and listen to that earlier stuff, though. But I will say, if you're unfamiliar with this band, definitely go back through and check them out. They do have some really good stuff to listen to, especially if you if you're a mid-2000s punk fan, I think you'll like a lot of the stuff on here. And then the last album I got is another one of those Abbey Road half-speed masters. This is The Who by Numbers, released back in 1975. It was their 7th studio album. It's going to run about $33 online. I think this is a more personal, introspective kind of album the band put together. I know that Pete Townsend during the recording process was going through a really severe writer's block. And I think that's why you got so many personal songs on this album that you didn't really have in a lot of the other albums by The Who. But it's another one of those albums, man. If you're unfamiliar with it, it's interesting to kind of go back through it. I think I said it earlier. I'm not the biggest fan of The Who. I do like Quadrophenia. I do like Tommy. I love Who's Next. It's probably my favorite album by them. But The Who by Numbers is, like I said, it's really interesting to kind of go back through and dig through that album because it is very different than a lot of the other stuff that the band was released in the 70s. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to picking up this week. I'll probably grab that music box if I can get it on sale somewhere. I'll probably grab Quadrophenia, even though, I don't know, like I said earlier, $50 is a lot to pay for an album. So if I can grab that on discount somewhere, I'll definitely grab the Blue Mitchell. I'll probably grab that Yusef Lateef. The Cars Greatest Hits, All Time Low, I'll probably grab those also. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys are looking forward to this week. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.